welcome to the Coffee Man podcast. I'm Rabia here with Sasha Sestic. Sasha is the 2015 World Barista Champ athlete and successful businessman. So on this episode, we'll be covering the ABCs of the World Coffee Championships, which is particularly useful if you're looking to compete, wanting to coach, or are just an avid fan. So let's cut to the chase and dive right in. Sasha, I'm going to be very frank with my first question. Can you tell us why it's important to compete?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And also, yeah, nice to connect with everyone to start talking about, competitions. Looking forward for this new season, and we're gonna have many, many great guests in season two, which is, all about competitions. And also looking forward for our conversation today. But why is it important to compete? As some of us know, World Coffee events, they run so many different competitions, whether it's barista competition, latte art, cupping, coffee and good spirits, Brewers Cup. I don't think I missed anything. And so for all of these competitions, there will definitely be different why. If you're talking about cupping competition, I'm pretty sure that like our friend Charlie, he wanted to start competing so he can actually learn and develop his palate. He can have better sensory skills, and but in latte art, obviously people can express their creativity with the patterns. As some of you know, I have been involved heavily in the barista competitions, and at the beginning, for me personally, the reason I joined barista competitions is because I wanted to learn about extracting best possible coffee, communicating about the coffee, and learning about the coffee itself. But interestingly, more I kind of competed, more I started discovering why do I like coffee in this platform. And thankfully to barista platform and barista competitions, I found my why in a coffee, kind of my purpose. Why do I want to do what I want to do? So we have a different reasons, but I feel that different reasons why we start. But I feel like that a lot of us finish with the kind of that same reason. Hey, when we finish competing, we feel that we found our purpose, and in that journey, whether the journey is 1 year or 5 years or maybe 7 years, like for myself, in that journey, I've it competition pushed me to be better coffee professional. Also, I met so many amazing people throughout the world, throughout these competitions. So many great networks, and when I finished my journey in competition, I kind of felt, hey, I actually belong here. So competition helped me to feel that I belong in the coffee industry more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see that there's from that, there's a lot of personal value. But how did those competitions add value to the industry in specific, the coffee industry?
Yeah. Well, in simple words, we can say, excellence, innovations, similar to our values that we chase in the company, and that's when I say like a lot of what we have done in the competitions, we put it back into our work. But as someone that 10, 15 years ago looked at these competitions, I would look at barista competitions, semi-finalists and finalists, and they would inspire me. They would inspire me as a young, barista that hasn't been long in the industry to sort of stay in the industry. They would inspire me to try new things. They would inspire me to, try different recipes or different style of roasting. So it's the platform that always pushes the boundaries. And I always say that these competitions are like a Formula One. We're not going to see Formula One driving in the city every day, but when we have all of these big car teams and they pushing to the extreme limit to do something that's never been done in their Formula One vehicles, then they apply their technology in the vehicles that they have in on the streets. And it's same with these competitions. It's a Formula One teams that not only one competitor but the entire team worked so hard for 12 months to bring the idea forward. And if the idea is successful, over time that comes to our coffee shops, and it helps us to elevate the coffee all the way from the farm to to the customer.
So when you were competing, what were some of the mistakes that you made, or when you see other competitors, what are like really common mistakes that you find between them?
I think it's a common pattern now, and it's not. It kind of goes okay. Well, if you have a first-time competitor, most likely there's a common pattern. What are the mistakes? We are underprepared. And I remember like a lot of us, like we would possibly not spend enough time in preparation, and we would go to this to competition, and we don't remember the words, we don't remember the speech, and because of that we are a lot more nervous, so we cannot necessarily make coffee as good quality as we normally make, because we are overwhelmed with emotions. And most of the first time competitors would make a lot better coffee in the coffee shop than what they would on the stage on that particular day. But after 2 or 3 years, I feel at least for me of competing, I feel that I did not necessarily know how to work with a team. Like you think this is individual sport at the beginning, it's barista competition or brewers camp. I'm gonna do everything by myself. But after a few years, you realize that you actually need to have a strong team around you to help you to find your absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also, like when it comes down to senior competitors and maybe 4 or 5 years competitors that have won nationals but maybe did not come to the semifinals or maybe did not come to the finals, possibly these people are looking too much left and right. They look, oh my god, this is really great competitor, they've done this well, I want to do it like that. And they see part of the another competitor, oh my god, this signature drink was great, I actually want to do this. But I feel they should be looking at themselves, and they should be like doing things that makes them excited, and they should be kind of digging deeper in their why, in their purpose, because they can only them they can be best version of themselves. So there's a lot of, and I have made all of these mistakes. So I'm kind of speaking from the experience, and every year is a new journey, and it's okay to make mistakes. I don't necessarily think that making mistake is a bad thing. It's a progress, and it's a way of learning. More importantly is when we make a mistake, like what do we do to fix it, and what things do we do to make sure that that mistake does not happen? Because next year there will be new mistake. Of course there will be, but
Yeah.
as long as we're growing and it's a high level mistake, it's a good thing. It means that we are progressing and learning.
Yeah. So if you met a great barista and they tell you they want to go and compete, what advice would you give them to prepare and train themselves so that they don't make those mistakes that you've just mentioned?
So yeah, firstly, I'd love to, you know, question why do they compete? What's the reason? And a lot of people kind of they say simple answer, but then when we ask again why, maybe asking why 5 times in the road, hopefully we can get deeper to actually understand what are they passionate, what are they driven, what's their idea, why do they want to come on the stage and share that coffee or that message, and then actually secondly see how do they want to achieve that. And most of the time with the junior competitors that doesn't happen, because their why is so different when they dig deeper in themselves than what they actually want to do. And then we can just present them, well, this is not aligned, so you try to do what you truly believe you actually want to do. Secondly, the team. Surround yourself with a team of people that care about you, that they trust you, and more importantly, the coach that you look up to, so you can learn and evolve. And finally, yeah, work hard and be prepared. Try not to do presentation only a few days beforehand, and make sure that in the last stage of competing, you're doing 4 or 5 presentations a day for at least 2 or 3 weeks with the people in front of you, not
Yeah.
just with the cardboard boxes, because I can see a lot of people put just cardboard boxes.
Oh, no.
I've seen quite a few photos of barista champions, and they present to them, which is great. But
Yeah.
ideally, even a customer, even someone that does not understand presentation, it's best to present that with these people, because that's when you have that connection, and coffee is all about that connection.
Yeah, right. When in regards to the nationals, so the ASCO competitions, um, I was personally curious how much do those differ from the world stage? Like, are you coming up with new routines, new coffees? Are the layouts the same? Yeah, how do they
Yeah,
differ?
I think it changes. Like, and it really depends of the judges, the feedback that give you. So if you go to number one to regional competition and you have your idea and execution might not be great, so you're really trying to gauge with the feedback of the judges that say, hey, ideas was great but execution wasn't quite great, so that means that you just need to refine your idea, not really change everything. But then sometimes judges would be kind of completely lost, saying, why doing this? Like, I don't I don't understand. So maybe idea wasn't great. So it's time to dig even deeper and look for the new ideas. And of course, barista competitions, it's mostly about taste of the coffee as well. So it goes in the same way with the coffee. If they like the coffee but it needs to be slightly fine tuned, then of course we're on a good track. Coffee is great, but maybe we need to change aging or roasting or recipe. Um, but if they completely dislike the coffee, well, let's start again and let's not do this again because that obviously don't work. Similar goes with the routine as well. Like when maybe signature drink or the order of service was not possibly did not flow in the best possible way. So the way we would always go is we'll do regional, we'll get a feedback from judges, and we'll see maybe what was the weakest link and what needs to be changed, and we change that. Um, and from nationals to the World Barista Championships, ideally, if national campaign is executed well, and especially with the strong competitions like in USA, Australia, and obviously quite a few very strong countries, UK. Um, for these competitors to win, they obviously have a good idea, and there's possibly should be the fine tuning, whether it's a fine tuning, maybe signature drink, or particular course, or particular tasting notes, or maybe the way coffee is extracted. So not necessarily needs to be changed much. For me, as an example, in 2015, we felt that idea was great and presentation was great. Um, we felt that coffee tasted great, but the signature drink concept was not really linked with the idea to the level that it should be. So we, after we saw the scores from the judges, and the signature drink was the weakest link, and my coach here told me, well, you want to change something? And it was easy. Like in that moment, you straight away see, well, we need to change this. So we completely scraped the signature drink. And we decided to go to Seattle with new signature drink.
Yeah. So at what point does the flavor of the coffee stop mattering and the presentation matters more? Like, is there a percentage of which one's more important?
Coffee is more important,
Okay.
always. Like
Yeah.
it's that. Think of it like you're building the house. You have to have a really strong foundation, and coffee is that foundation of the house. And it's actually walls and the roof. Presentation is only making the decoration of the house lovely, painting so people can actually get the full potential of that coffee of and the entire idea and the story and innovation needs to be tasted in a cup of coffee. We can talk about something so passionately and in a head it can make sense, but if that idea is not delivered in a cup, unfortunately, just like when we have a bad foundation in the house, everything is going to collapse.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So, Sasha, you have coached many competitors. We've got Aga Rohiska, Martin, John Gordon, our own Hugh Kelly, Matt Lewin. So, what is your advice, like for coaching?
For
Yes.
coaches, okay. Well, yeah, I've coached many. I've also made quite a few mistakes being a coach as well. But the biggest advice as a coach, when we're coaching someone, we should not be giving these competitors something that's our agenda. So if Sasha is very deep down, my wine, coffee is maybe fermentation and working with the farmers and connection with the farmers. My goal really should not be that, hey, the next competitor I coach, I want them to do this because that's how it's done. So it really should start from competitor and helping competitor to understand what's their real passion and their real joy, and what is it that they really really love about coffee. And it starts with that. And I remember, like, when I coached Taga that you mentioned, and I always use that example. And when we offered to coach her, and I said to Aga, okay, well, what do you want to do? Like, well, what is it that you're passionate about? And I did not know Aga at all. And she goes, well, I can't, I'm not like you because I've never been on a farm, so I don't know that. I don't do much research and development. I don't know much like science stuff. I said, I don't mind what you don't do. And I didn't ask you that, like, what is it that you're really passionate about? Because I love coffee because of connection, of customer service. And then she started smiling while she was talking about something that she liked. So you can recognize that as a coach when when people are uncomfortable when you talk about something, and when they start becoming more comfortable. And our goal is to kind of to guide them to go to that road that makes them comfortable, because no one else can be Aga. If people are trying to copy Aga, they can't. But we all have our name. We all have a history where we come from, and the goal is to bring that on the stage, because no one can be as good version of you as you are. So when we've said to Aga, hey, you're gonna actually maybe do custom experiences in the past, in the present, in the future, a new way of custom experiences in the future. Obviously, it worked. And what she was saying, this was really easy. It wasn't hard. Well, for some other people, it was hard, because when they look at Aga presenting us, Aga, this is so hard. But it's not hard when you do something when you love, something that you believe in, something that you own, and it's also not hard to train day in and day out. But if you putting a lot of effort on maybe the idea that you don't connect with, that maybe coach kind of takes you to that direction, then it's not going to be a pleasant journey, and most likely results at the end will not be as good.
Yeah. So are there any other like big mistakes that coaches are making, and have you made any?
Of course, all the mistakes and all the experiences say they come from my own mistakes. But I remember coaching Hugh Kelly in 2016, and which is the first year, my first year of coaching, first year of Kelly, winning Australian and going to Dublin. And I had, and of course, myself competing for 7, 8 years, and being a competitor is very different than being a coach, because when you compete, you just want to do what you want to do and what you believe you need to do, and it's all about you. And as a coach, and then you grow your skills to really high level. And when you have like high level skills and you're coaching, or when I've coached Kelly, I was kind of trying to give him my skills. And 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 even when he presented and the way he was talking and emphasizing, without being conscious, I was trying to make him to be mini Sash. No, you need to say this word and you need to speak louder, because when Sash gets excited, he talks with the hands and arms and everything. So I was trying to make Kelly to be the same. And of course, like, he was not comfortable with it. And when we watched some of his regional routines and national routines, and when he was talking like that, I said, this is so wrong. This is just not right. And he was not comfortable with himself. And in a way, this does not help, because the idea with the competition is, as I mentioned, it helps us grow, helps us to find our own why, not me as a coach giving him my own why, because like we might do more damage than good if we're coaching like that.
Yeah.
Because we might kind of do things that I actually don't know what I want to do in my industry, and the people will start losing their confidence. But if we help them to do what they want to do, then it's a very different path.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we don't want to stamp out their individuality. Like,
Yeah.
it's about celebrating them.
It's about celebrating
Yeah,
them.
and what makes them unique.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what's in the cup of coffee. It's not
Yeah.
it's not Sasha in every cup.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Absolutely.
Aga in one cup, you in one
Yeah.
cup. Yeah.
So yeah, 2016 was big learning, and we came back and we sort of recognized that what what we've done wrong, And normally when something happens as a coach, like the advice is if you coach someone and if competitor does not do best, does not do as well, it's about coach. I think that coach should always be more responsible one rather than you haven't done it right. This is what's happened. Like take it on you and I really took that 2016 year on me and then said why did this happen? Like why did he not make finals, etc. And yeah, he ended up being that okay. Well, I had too much of my agenda, and the next year we've changed. The next year he obviously progressed, etc.
Yeah, that's right. So say you've won a WC competition, what happens after that?
Well, yeah, when when we won WBC in 2015, I don't remember like yesterday. My coach Hide sat down with me and he said, "Okay, we need to talk." For the first time ever, he was relaxed with me, thanks God, which was nice. But he said to me clearly, Sash, it's all up to you now. Like you have in your coffee life, you're gonna have so many new doors opening, and it's up to you to decide like what do you want to do. What doors do you want to take. And for me, that at that time that did not mean much. I had no idea what he was saying. But then I did ask him, well, kind of, what dose should I take? Like you, my God, you have been my master for all these months, and you've gone through it. And he said, well, just think from your, not necessarily from the head as much, but more from what connects you. Like think from your why. If this connects with your why, then of course you're gonna take this dose. But if you have certain opportunities and things that they don't necessarily connect with your why, then maybe that's not though for you, because you can easily get lost in this world. That there's so many opportunities that everyone wants you, and it can be overwhelming. And in this period of time, you can lose yourself. And I think I was pleased with the decisions that I've made, and I felt that hey, after we won, like it's now time to give back, because competition has given me everything, and from that year I thought, well, there will be certain number of travels, a certain number of my time that I want to give back. Okay, who do we give back? Well, at the beginning, he was giving back to coffee farmers as much as I possibly could, to travel to the farms, to do seminars, to do workshops, to organize non-profit auctions, as we did in quite a few countries, to build water wells, bridges, or whatever else we could do in order to give back to these communities. But then I also recognized in 2016 and 17 that, well, we can also give back to this competition platform, because without platform I wouldn't be there. And this is when we started doing these scholarship programs to look for competitors that are outside of our company, maybe in countries that have not really been done well or been established, so we can sort of bring the competition forward in that way. And all of these kind of things and this giving back has sort of somehow gave kind of, when you give back to people, you get a lot more in return without expecting. Because throughout this organizing non-profit auctions, we managed to bring so many more Project Origin clients. With supporting some competitors, we managed to create the networks that are great for Nucleus coffee tool business, that are great for Honor Coffee as well. So by giving back, we managed to get so much more back. So and today, like before WBC, we had maybe 20-25 employees in the company. Now we have 130, 140. So suddenly I'm CEO. Okay, how does that work? So it has been a great journey, but my advice for everyone is just follow your heart, and when you reach success, share that with success with the people, because and support, because it will give you that, as I mentioned, even on a Christmas party, it will give you these most joyful moments of the life, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's about not forgetting where you came from.
Yeah.
It's not one person. It's not a one-person journey.
Yeah.
It's all these people lifting their hands, helping you up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and when we can, it's a nice way to go, hey, well, it's now our time to to support and continue supporting.
Yeah.
but it can be also overwhelming. And for a while, even though I have I felt that I have done anything I could as ambassador for these 12 months. When I was competing, I've traveled I think 240, 250 days. In the first year, I was overseas. Second year, I think I was 220 days overseas. So even though you kind of give back to the other people, but I come back home. I said, well, I haven't seen my family for a while. I haven't seen my kids. My daughter grew up 2, 3 years, and I did not even know. So was that a good thing to do? Absolutely not. If I could take back time, would I change? 100%. Because as you mentioned, it's nice to give back to people and support, but more importantly, not turn back on your closest ones. And I felt I've done it. And but we are all humans. We make mistakes. When we make mistakes, we learn, and we make sure it doesn't happen again, as I mentioned at the beginning.
That's right.
So yeah.
No, that's right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sasha, for having me. I enjoyed picking your brain. Just for future listeners, can you tell us a little bit about what to expect in the upcoming episodes?
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, thanks for your great questions. It's actually nice to reconnect and bring back these memories. And I think the whole idea of doing another podcast season 2, is to share a little bit more that what's happening with the World Coffee events and how these World Coffee events have influenced us, and for all of us to get some inspirations. I'm really looking forward introducing our guests. So we had so in Milan we recently had the barista competition, brewers competition, as well as a cup tasters. And then I thought, well, it would be great to do a podcast about people that have won these competitions, people that made finalists, as an example, farmers as well that were involved in this competition, so we can really share what happens behind, what's their why, how they discover their why as well, their challenges, and all of these amazing things. So we will have some incredible guests, and I hope that with the conversations we have, they will share us their insights, and all of us can get inspired about competitions and the future.
Yeah, sounds exciting. Might be the next competitor.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, Sasha. Thanks for your time.